everyone, and welcome to a special episode of the Nitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather, and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, up here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. This is my podcast where I talk about everything I am working on. It is all knitting today, but I do a tiny bit of crochet. It has been a long time since I have been able to podcast. I have just been super busy this fall, teaching a little bit more than I normally do and just busier with work. And I still have been doing a ton of knitting though. So I thought I would make a little episode that just talks about the things I have finished this fall. I'm going to call this a little two-part series, my Fall 2023 Catch Up. I will talk to you this episode about what I have finished, and then I'll film another one in another day or two talking about what I am currently working on, and then hopefully I can get back on a better filming schedule. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you get inspired by some of the things I have to show you today. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I truly appreciate it. So like I said, this episode is going to be all about finished objects, things I have finished in the last couple months. I'm going to start off with my Desert Vista Dye Works. I think I have 3 months worth of Desert Vista Dye Works to show you. These are my August socks, and I did the toe-up socks on DPNs by Stacy Perry, a very pink knits. This colorway is called Moon Festival, and I love how it turned out. This was one that when I saw it in the skein, I kind of went, you know, it's pretty and I like these colors, but once I saw it knit up, I was like, oh wow, yes, this is gorgeous. Really was beyond pleased with how this turned out. I started with a toe using a 5-gram Sparkle Mini that she included in, I believe, her 2020 prize pack. This is a toe-up pattern with a little bit of a gusset and a fleagle heel, and I am very pleased with how they turned out. Finally able to share these with you. This is the Socks on Flexible DPNs pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit up in Moon Festival by Desert Vista Dye Works. My September Desert Vista Dye Works socks were Zombody is Off to See the Wizard. Lots of Aussie colors, very fun. This I did just a toe up with the wedge shaped toe. Vanilla sock with an afterthought heel. I have not been making my Desert Vista Dye Works socks match this year just because I just want to keep knitting and I don't want to fuss too much about making them match perfectly. I really loved how these colors turned out. I thought this would be a good one to do in September to be done in October, kind of a witchy green theme. And this is a super fun colorway that she always has in her shop from her Zombodies of Oz collection, so definitely check it out. This is a pair of vanilla socks with an afterthought heel in the colorway Zombodies Off to See the Wizard by Desert Vista Dye Works. My October Desert Vista Dye Works socks were in the colorway Reese's Zombody Cups from the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and Reese's Pieces kind of colors with her famous kind of purpley, greeny, and gray based zombie speckled stripes. Love how this turned out. The pattern I did on this was the Heel Toe Do-Si Do socks by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. And here's a little closer look of kind of the zigzag. I did do this toe up. The pattern is written for cuff down, but it just makes the zigzags go the other way, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I like doing my Desert Vista Dye Works socks toe up just because I do need to get them done in the month as I am participating in the 9th annual Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club. And so I figure I at least need to get the foot, and if I'm kind of scrambling at the end of the month to get them done, I can always adjust how far up the leg I go. I did an afterthought heel with this, and I thought these turned out super fun. I'm very pleased with this pattern. This is a perfect pattern to use for self-striping. This is probably the 4th or 5th pair of socks that I have knit using this pattern, and I do very much enjoy it. This is the Heel Toe Do-Si Do Socks by Kay Litchen, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Reese's Zombody Cups by Desert Vista Dye Works. Okay, moving on from Desert Vista Dye Works, my next pair of socks I would like to show you is one that I did cast on back in July as part of the West Knits Surprise Summer Sock Make-Along. These are called the Contrast Blast Socks, and I think I was pretty close last time I showed these, but I have officially finished them. This is a super interesting pattern. It does start with a little bit of cable work on the cuff, and then he's got these zigzag stitches, these kind of brick stitches. The heel flap I think is super cool with this pattern, kind of a checkered effect. And then we have some more fun zigzags and all kinds of cool columns going down the foot. These are also cabled. I know it's kind of hard to see that in the dark yarn. The yarn I used for these socks is Knit Picks Stroll. The darker color is Orbit, and this lighter color is Mint, and I do love how they look together. Of course, being called the Contrast Blast socks, he recommended colors that definitely really contrast, and I just happen to have these in stash, and this is just a really nice sock yarn. These are definitely bigger and longer. I think I did 72 stitches all the way through, and normally I do 64 stitch count for my socks, but with the cables, I have tried these on and they work just fine. They're just maybe not quite as tight as some of my other socks are, but that's totally fine. Really enjoyed. Oh, and then there is kind of a cool broken rib on the toe he did as well. I know it's, again, kind of hard to see in the dark yarn, but I was very happy that he did something interesting on the toe. When the last clue came out, I thought, okay, well, he's definitely going to do the toe, and I wonder if he's just going to do a plain old toe, but of course it's Stephen West, so he definitely did something very fun with the Contrast Blast toe. These are the Contrast Blast socks by Stephen West from his Surprise Summer Sock Make-Along this past summer 2023 in the colorways Orbit and Mint from Knit Picks in their Stroll base. My next pair of socks is, I think, the very first skein of yarn I ever purchased from the Cozy Knitter back in October 2019, I believe. This is the colorway Ghoulish, and I was very pleased to finally knit it up this fall season. I love these stripes. I did these toe up as well. I did my normal wedge-shaped toe, about 50 rounds up the foot. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel for these socks, and then continued about 50 more rounds up the leg until I got to the next orange stripe, and then used the orange mini that came with this sock set for the cuff. I love that she includes a nice generous 30-gram mini to use for toes, heels, and cuffs. So I was able to use this orange mini for the toes, heels, and cuffs, and I absolutely love these Halloween-y colors. There is like a brown and a charcoaly gray. They kind of look similar, but there are two different kind of darker stripes. Such a pleasure to knit with this base. This is her 80/20 Bliss base, and it is so soft, so nice to work with. I've knit many socks out of the Cozy Knitters yarn, and I'm sad to say that I think this might be the last one I had. No, that's a lie. I do have a couple more that I will knit up in the future. But I have been knitting through my Cozy Knitter stash recently. This is a pair of vanilla socks with a Fish Lips Kiss heel knit up in the colorway Ghoulish by the Cozy Knitter. My last pair of socks that I have finished since I've talked to you these last couple months are my latest pair of DK socks. This colorway is called Lab, and it's from Wedgwood Fibers out of Seattle. This gorgeous, gorgeous, very variegated green and slightly blue tones in some spots. Really love how these knit up. Look at all the even variegation. There really is not any pooling, which doesn't bother me if there was, but it's impressive when that doesn't happen. I used the DK Weight Vanilla Sock Pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. And I'm extremely excited to be wearing these to bed one of these nights very soon, now that I have showed these. This is the first time I've used this yarn, and I got it about 1.5 years ago at Acorn Street Shop when I met my friend Helen Jo there in Seattle, and I was so happy to knit this up. I do have one more skein of their DK base that I will probably make another pair of sleeping socks with. This is a pair of DK Weight socks following the DK Weight Vanilla Sock Pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in the colorway Lab by Wedgwood Fibers. My next finished object I do not have to show you because I have gifted them. I knit cute little pumpkin hats for my niece and nephew, and they turned out so cute. I did actually get to go with them to the pumpkin patch, and they wore them to the pumpkin patch, and they just turned out so cute. The kids loved them. My sister-in-law loved them, which was wonderful. And I was very happy to give them a cute little fall hat. I will put in a picture. The pattern I used is called the Berry Baby Hat by Michelle Sabatier. You can make it whatever kind of fruit by using different colors. I, of course, made it look like a pumpkin by using orange. The yarn I used was Yarn Bee Second Chance in the colorways Pumpkin and Dark Pine for the green. It's a very nice recycled acrylic yarn, perfect for kid knits. The nice thing about this hat is that it does have a rolled brim, so you can kind of adjust the length and roll it up a little further if needed. I followed the stitch count number in the pattern for my nephew's size, and then I think I just added one more repeat for my niece's hat. Her head's just a little bit bigger, so I added one more repeat, and they both seemed to fit wonderfully. I was super pleased, and of course they looked absolutely adorable in those hats. Check out the Berry Baby Hat by Michelle Sabatier. My next finished object I would love to show you is my very first gnome I have ever knit. I am part of the Love and Stitches membership hosted by Knitty Natty, and one of the events we had this term is a class by Sarah Shira of Imagined Landscapes, and she is kind of the queen of gnomes. She has a bunch of cute gnome designs, and I definitely recommend you look her up if you're not familiar, especially this time of year if people are wanting to knit themselves some holiday gnomes. She has them in all shapes and sizes with all sorts of different details. We took a class that was 3 hours on a Saturday, and we knit one of her kind of smaller scale gnomes. The pattern is called No Fun, like Gnome Fun. And this is Noah. I think there's 3 different gnomes you can knit within that pattern, and this one is called Noah. We started with his hat, added his body, and then separately we did his beard and arms, and then she taught us how to attach and fill it. I just filled him with a little bit of polyfill and then just put some like floral rocks at the bottom to weigh him down. I used Seattle Seahawks colors. These I think are leftover pieces. You don't need very much, clearly. They're very small. But I did use, I think, leftovers of Knit Picks Swish DK that I had. I knit him in Seattle Seahawks colors and decided that Genome Smith would be the perfect name for him. So his name is Genome Smith after our quarterback, Geno Smith. So here is Genome Smith with his gray beard, green hat, and then our Seahawks blue for the body. This really was not as difficult as I thought it would be. I am not the most detailed oriented person when it comes to finishing things like this, and certainly he's not perfect. And one of the things she says though is wonkiness is gnominess, so there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to gnomes. I really love him and probably will knit this pattern some more. Check out Sarah Shira of Imagined Landscapes. This is her No Fun Like Gnome Fun pattern, specifically Noah. I was also able to start and complete a cowl since I have last talked to you. This is my autumn doodle cowl. Last episode, I talked about going to Flock Fiber in Seattle, and I got a kit to make the autumn doodle. I believe I got the autumn doodle deck as well to follow these patterns. The yarn I used and also got at Flock Fiber is from Fangirl Fibers, her Great Pumpkin colorway set. This is on her DK base, and it came with 100 grams of this creamy color and then 20 grams of all these minis. So I did a leaf motif, a spider, pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns, bats, and then acorns. As a preschool and kindergarten teacher, these are all things that we talk about throughout the fall, so I thought it'd be really fun to incorporate these motifs and wear it to school. And I have worn it to school a couple times and really enjoyed it. I love these colors. And I'm just very pleased that I was able to do this nice colorwork doodle. I just did the single-sided version, and there was a 1x1 rib at the cuff, at the top and bottom. Super simple, super addicting. That's one thing I find about colorwork, is that it is very, very fun, addicting. You just want to keep going so you finish the motif, or at least see more of it come through. And this was an absolute pleasure to knit. This is lightly blocked, so it looks fairly good. If you're not familiar with the concept of a doodle, it's basically you get a whole bunch of these little colorwork motifs in the pattern, and you can mix and match them, put them in whatever order, use some, don't use some, choose whatever kind of colors you want. I decided to use a solid color in the background versus, going back and forth through a whole bunch of colors. And I'm glad I did. I think this looked nice. And based on my yardage, I thought I would be safest to stay with the cream that I had the most of for the background. This is the Autumn Doodle Cowl by Jamie Lomax of Pacific Knit Co., knit up in the Great Pumpkin kit by Fangirl Fibers. Next, I would like to tell you about something that I've had on the needles for quite some time and just recently picked up to finish, and that is my Christmas ball. This is the Orbit pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit around a little plastic ornament. The colorway I used is Zombody Go Bra from Desert Vista Dye Works. Kind of some leftovers with that. I love how the self-striping looks in these balls. So I am excited to put this on my Christmas tree very soon, or maybe I'll gift it to somebody. But it's a super easy in the round. The only tricky part is getting it started with so few stitches, and then you increase, start decreasing, stick the ball in, and then finish up. The director at my school recently moved, and she had a bunch of these old ornaments that she was trying to clear out as, she was packing and decluttering, and I said, oh, I can take those because I like to knit these little balls. So this is the first time I've actually done it around a plastic ball. The other two that I have done, I've just stuffed with polyfill, which is also fun. But I like how this one turned out. This is the Orbit Ball pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit up in Zombody Go Bra by Desert Vista Dye Works. My last two finished objects are two of the Advent shawls that I have been working on basically all year so far. And I finished them. The ends are trimmed. I have not blocked them yet, but they're pretty enough to show as it is. This first one is the Lamina Wrap by Amba O'Brien. I love these colors. The colors I used are leftovers from the 2020 Advent by Hypnotic Yarn. And then my main color I used is called Shenanigans by Hypnotic Yarn from one of her Yarnable boxes. So this has a nice little lace motif with the garter ridge in between in the main color. And I just thought these colors are so pretty and really get shown off nicely in this pattern. And the main color I thought went really, really well with it. It's got very, very subtle, tiny speckles in it. And I absolutely love how it turned out. I am excited to just kind of wear this around my shoulders, or maybe wrap it around after it's blocked and added a little more length. It's so nice. I really, really love this pattern and would very much consider doing it again with a future advent. My other, make sure I have it on the right side to show you. My other shawl I finished was my Fizzlicious wrap. This is also by Amba O'Brien. And it is also one where you're using 24 minis with a main color. For this one, the main color I used is called Labyrinth by Nerd String. And my minis were from my 2022 Hue Loco Fade, Vista Fade Advent. And look how beautifully they do fade. I absolutely love how these colors go together. And it went with this nice neutral that I chose for the main color. Very pleased with that. This is sort of the opposite, where it's got stripes of garter ridges in the contrasting minis. And then the main color is a little bit of a lacy, they called this like a fizzy stitch. Super fun, not as complicated as it might look. The first few rows definitely did kind of stump me when I first started this, but you did get in a little bit of a rhythm. And actually the whole section for these little fizzies was only 4 rows, so it's really not too bad. So both of these shawls are kind of the same shape. They're sort of a parallelogram, rectangular on the bias. So you are maintaining the same stitch count all throughout, which is nice. And this is another one that I think will be so fun to just wear. And maybe even just put around my shoulders when I get cold. I can leave this by my chair. It turned out so beautifully. I really, really love how these look. So check out the Fizzlicious wrap by Amba O'Brien. And also the Lamina wrap by Amba O'Brien. She has so many wonderful Advent projects. If you are looking for something to do with Advents or just scraps, check out Amba O'Brien. She has so many wonderful patterns. Well, I caught you up now with all of my finished objects that I've done in the last couple months. Stay tuned for the next episode where I talk about everything I'm currently working on, my works in progress. I look forward to showing you those very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to be a little bit more consistent in filming. It seems like this time of year I always just get really, really busy, but I'm determined to film a little bit more. I do love filming and editing and interacting with you all and sharing all my knitting and hopefully inspiring some of you. Until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one.